3. The supremacy of inner power. The culture of Bharat, ancient India, had unusual impact on almost all countries of the world, by virtue of which this country had always been looked upon with unusual respect. The large-heartedness, prosperity and benevolence of its people and variety of flora and fauna of Bharat have overawed people throughout the world since time immemorial. Humanity has been paying sincere tributes to this country for its contributions to the welfare of mankind. God has blessed this country with the exquisite competence of showing light of wisdom and way to prosperity to people all over the world, because of which this country has often been nicknamed as Jagat Guru, meaning the Guru or guide of humanity. The special expertise of administrative management and capacity of improving lots of multitudes by development of extensive areas made this country universally famous. Chakravarti. Who would not have believed in the prosperity of a nation, which was capable of making millions of poor throughout the world prosperous? This is why India had been popularly known the world over as the Golden Bird or a mine of gems, a reference to its great people. The prosperity of Bharat, which is blessed with unique heavenly resources, was considered tenable because of being a result of proper utilization of its natural wealth, in spite of the living of a people being average by global standards. The cultural heritage of Bharat has been so rich and influential that culturally backward people living like humanoid apes elsewhere in the world could not believe in existence of a society in which simply by refining individual talents, men could become million times more efficient than others. Finding no other plausible explanation for the cultural superiority of inhabitants of this country, the aliens ascribed them to some highly evolved class of Homo sapiens possessing mysterious divine powers which others in the world did not have. It led to the worldwide belief of Bharat being the land of Dev Manav, godly men. As a natural corollary, the abode of these divine people became Swarg, heaven, of scriptures. This belief further stood test of time when it was found that on account of high standard of civility, spirit of mutual cooperation and benevolent attitude of these divine people, there emerged ideal interpersonal relationships and excellent codes of civic behavior, love and compassion, creating a pervasive and lasting environment of peace, happiness and subliminal joy for everyone. With this background, it should not be difficult to deduce that on this land of Bharat itself grew the concept of Swarg or heaven, and it came to be known as Swargadapi Gariyasi, a land superior to heaven. Whatever be the number of incarnations or messengers of God mentioned in scriptures, all have appeared on this land only. Since man found it difficult to interact with the invincible, invisible, immortal, super beings of scriptures believed to be traveling in space, he searched for and found their representatives in this very world. The prevailing superior wisdom, pragya, miraculous adherence to hard work and ever-readiness for performing duty were the attributes of Bharatiyas which made people believe that if devtas, super beings, did exist, they were living in Bharat only. The devtas had, they reasoned, established a model of heaven, said to be in existence in some unknown world, on this land of Bharat on this earth. Throughout the world, the human community found the divine men of Bharat competent in performing seemingly impossible feats and took full advantage of their quality of leadership. In a book entitled Samast Vishwa Ko Bharat Ke Ajasra Anudan, numerous contributions of Bharat to humanity throughout the world, published by Yug Nirman Yojana, it has been proved through many evidences and narratives of historical events that the inhabitants of this land did not keep their great activities confined to their homeland only, but carried out hazardous journeys far and wide to every nook and corner of the world and made a strong effort to uproot regressive trends in regions throughout the world. They motivated local inhabitants by providing them necessary impetus and made them realize their own inherent capacity to change their lot. With this wisdom, they were able to brighten their future as the rising sun dissipates the darkness around it. Those interested in knowing details are recommended to study the series of travels narrated in this book. This has been the great tradition of Bharatiya culture, the culture of ancient India, followers of which have been dedicating themselves to those endeavors which are conducive to promotion of character building and idealism in entire humanity. It incorporates not only disciplines for making one's own self well-organized and cultured, but also arrangements for systematizing the areas of personal influence and fields of activity in such a way that proper utilization of available minimum resources produces many times more fruitful results. The fame of Bharat had then reached all over the world. In Spain, two legends about Bharat were prevalent and motivated Columbus to undertake his well-known hazardous voyage. This was the gold mine in search of which he had zealously undertaken his naval exploration. Errors in navigation, however, took him to the shores of America instead of India, where he erroneously named the inhabitants as Red Indians. This is one of the instances testifying to fame and progress of India in those days. Other travelers too undertook hazardous journeys with the same objective and wrote books to give eyewitness accounts. Famous amongst them were Fahian, Huan Sang, M.C. Berner and Marco Polo. Jesus Christ too is known to have spent a great part of his life in this country. With the enlightenment he had in this land, he spread his message to others in his native language and in his own way made others enlightened. Analysts of Christianity find a profound similarity of its tenets with those of Buddhism. It has been happening since time immemorial. Paul Brunton had arrived in Bharat to seek the secrets of its miracles. He later published his experiences in books which took people all over the world by awe and surprise. Sri Ma of France too came to Bharat in search of her mysticism and settled here permanently at the Aurobindo Ashram. The long list includes such celebrities as Annie Besant, Miss Slade of Gandhi Ashram, and the British national and environmentalist Sarla Ben, who chose to live and die in this country. In this context, who does not know about Sister Nivedita, who lived in this country and helped Vivekanand in his work? Humanity would always remain grateful to Priest C.F. Andrews for the services rendered by him to this country and non-resident Indians abroad. Nevertheless, one cannot fully appreciate the depth of attraction this country had for foreigners by simply going through the list of travelers who came here. A cursory glance at the composition of the people of this country would indicate the zest with which followers of Zoroastrianism, Islam and Christianity came to this country and, finding the environment congenial, settled here permanently. Who would have liked to leave the shade of a tree, Kalpavriksha, which gave one lasting peace and happiness, and why? Those impressed with the culture of this land have specially mentioned about the science of Yoga, erroneously pronounced as yoga, adopted by the people of this land and found it to be the source of miraculous power. There has never been any doubt about the truth of this belief, but in recent years, because of many misconceptions, exaggerations and vested interests, the concept of yoga has become so much distorted that it is being projected merely as means of fleecing people by performance like magic shows and through other fraudulent practices. The truth is, however, quite contrary. Yoga is a highly specialized science. It is based on two basic principles. One is tapascharya, which may be broadly understood as imbibition of self-discipline, following specified ethical codes of conduct and for achieving desired objective, making oneself accustomed to bearing with self-imposed harsh environment, which is known as titikcha, asceticism. For this very objective, provisions have been made for many types of rites, rituals, pledges, and a variety of fasts and long barefooted journeys to places of pilgrimage. But these are merely means and not the aim. The objective is to imbibe such a high degree of credibility, pramanikta, excellence and humility in character, which is able to provide sufficient strength to resist any temptation or pressure, deviating one from the steadfastness of objectives. The aim is to develop sufficient strength to enable one to resist temptation to any unethical practice whatsoever, even at the cost of facing intimidation, attack or terrorism by evil persons. Many rituals have been incorporated in Tapashcharya to develop and maintain the steady state of mind described as above. It is surprising that forgetting the main objective, people get lost in rituals and expect to become superhumans with the help of such rituals only. The other facet of Tapashcharya is Yog Sadhana, that is, the discipline of Yoga. Whereas Tapashcharya is primarily related to the body, Yoga helps in freeing mind from undesirable evil elements detrimental to progress of self and expands the mental horizon to encompass all living beings in the ambit of self. We may explain it further and in simpler way like this. Yoga helps in coordinating all elements of one's area of operation, behavior, practice, perspectives and activities in such a way that a well-organized efficient system is automatically and necessarily evolved for the person. This is what the philosophers and thinkers of the society attempt to do. Working like blacksmiths on anvil, they strike hard to straighten the evil traits arising out of disorders in society. Like expert metallurgists and workmen, who transform the otherwise useless raw metallic ores into useful products by process of melting and molding, they work with naive, raw persons to make them efficient, capable and effective. It involves several processes like pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. The ancient traditional disciplines of Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga were developed for the same purpose. Anushtans, Purashcharan, taking a vow or pledge, Vrat, are also carried out with the same objective. However, with all this variety of strange rituals, if one forgets the real hidden objective of expansion of self beyond narrow selfish interests, the former are reduced to mere childish place. In the latter case, no such results would be obtained which could be considered as celestial capacities of a successful yogi. There is no dearth in this world of people running after the mirage of becoming Superman, but they are only wasting time getting disheartened on failures and pass time in perpetual state of despondency. Such persons are often found hiding the truth of their futile endeavors behind the facade of tall and false claims of achievements. The science of Yoga of ancient India, because of which this country was once upon a time being compared to heaven, had in fact contributed to such a high degree of development to apparent and dormant capacities of human personality, that credibility of science of Yoga was proved as the religion which could be used as hard cash by giving increasing returns of talents and excellence. It provided personal magnetism, ojas, to the physical body, brilliance to mental faculties, tejas, and motivation for ideals, brahmavachas, to the inner self. The practice of yoga does not necessitate any change in normal living. That is to say, there is absolutely no need to deviate from normal living and adopt strange customs and clothes in course of Yoga Sadhana. Once, at the instance of British government, the then Viceroy of India had sent an invitation to Mahatma Gandhi for a meeting. The Viceroy was advised by the British Prime Minister to avoid looking into the eyes of Mahatma during formal discussions. He was rightly told that Gandhi, being a yogi, had a capacity to mesmerize people. The British were very careful while dealing with Gandhi. During the non-cooperation movement of Indian freedom struggle, the British rulers took enough care to use repression to that extent only, which did not bring about adverse reactions from Gandhi. An explosion of the 90-pound bomb that was Gandhi would have shattered the British rule to pieces. The following instance proves the importance of Gandhi. Gandhi was asked to visit England to participate in the Round Table Conference. The delegation comprised many senior members of Congress Party, but the leader of the British team concentrated on Gandhi only. Every word he spoke was carefully weighed and analyzed. The outcome of the discussion spelled a personal victory to Gandhi. Vinoba too was a yogi who had imbibed the motto Aram Haram Hai. It is a sin to take rest deeply in his thoughts and behavior. He formulated big schemes and proved their feasibility by achieving the desired success. How initiators of big revolutions have forcefully motivated millions of people can be seen in numerous incidents from the pages of history of recent decades of this century itself. During early years of Lenin's life, who would have believed that this man was going to liberate his country from oppression so miraculously, that a large part of the world would value his ideas and many countries would adopt model of communistic rule? The Scout movement of Badan Powell was unique achievement of that time. It was only the dominant will of some ascetics which could eradicate deep-rooted evils ranging from slavery to the ruthless oppressions of feudal landlords of bygone days. Who would have thought it possible a few years earlier? Those who are not averse to the concept of spirituality being the basis of the influence and greatness of ancient India should also keep in mind that the structure of spirituality in this country was erected on two strong pillars. One was tap, which involved spiritual discipline and exercise for development of a high level of courage to promote ideals in a regressive environment and acquisition of talents to do so. The other comprised development of a perspective supportive of an expertise, which could be considered as an efficiency capable of establishing a well-organized system. In strict sense, adoption of spirituality, Adhyatma, consists of maximum endeavor in these two directions. Riddhi-siddhi are nothing but consequences of progress made in course of these endeavors, which is quite contrary to the common belief that they are divine gifts showered from heaven. We are all aware of the legendary tales of Bhagirath, who had forced the course of southerly flowing Ganga eastwards by the paranormal power of Yog. That is how he metaphorically came to be known as the father of Bhagirathi, Ganga. A similar attempt was made by Anusuya when she had succeeded in making the Mandakini flow in the desired direction. It is believed that Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, three supreme powers of God, had come under her command like small children. The small community of Pandavas and their supporters were able to defeat the large army of Kauravas. Who else could have achieved this miracle but the planned war strategy of Yogeshwar, supreme amongst the yogis, Krishna, who was working as its principal strategist? It was not his apparent physical strength, but the invisible power inherent in him which made Hanuman dislodge and carry the enormous block of hill. The same power inherent in him was aroused through motivation by Jamvant, and he played the key role in the war against Ravan by putting Lanka on fire. Otherwise, the same Hanuman was not so effective earlier while serving his fugitive master, Sugriva. The acts of Parashuram and Gandiva of Arjun, a metaphorical expression of their yogic power, was too well known to make mighty warriors shiver. It is said that when during a walking Chhatrasal fell into a financial crisis, he approached his guru, who advised him to go around an area riding on a horse and told him that the land so covered would yield gems. Chhatrasal followed the direction and succeeded in solving his problem. Behind the success of Vivekananda in spreading the message of Indian religion throughout the world has only been working the divine force of his competent Guru Ram Krishna Paramahansa. There are numerous such examples showing that the source of miraculous power lies deep within the inner self of human being himself. These powers can be activated from their dormant state and made sufficiently energized to help in development of one's talents. The accruing advantages not only benefit self but can also be made use of to help others.